So, what happens when a company that's been around for over 100 years suddenly slams into a crisis that could wipe it out completely? Well, today we're looking at the incredible story of Hirayama Construction, a small Japanese company that came up with a brilliant answer to a huge modern day problem. And their story, it really poses this fascinating question for all of us. In an age where everything's constantly being disrupted, can a company founded way back in 1901 actually hack the future? All right, let's dive in and find out. First things first, we need to get a handle on just how big this problem is, because this isn't just about one company's struggles. The entire Japanese construction industry is basically facing an existential threat. Now, this graph says it all, even if you can't read the Japanese. That top line, that's the total number of construction workers. And you can see it's been dropping steadily since 1997. And the bottom line, the skilled laborers, that's falling off a cliff. We're talking about a massive, decades-long labor shortage that's putting unbelievable pressure on absolutely everyone. And it's hitting the big guys too. This table shows some of the giants in the industry just throwing money at the problem. You can see they're in a full-on wage war, hiking up salaries by 9, almost 10%. But, just increasing paychecks isn't fixing the deeper structural issues, like the brutal hours and the massive inefficiencies baked into the system. So, in the middle of all this chaos, how does a company survive? Well, enter Hirayama Construction, founded in 1901, a small, family-run business right in the eye of the storm. Their solution, at least on the surface, seemed pretty simple: go digital. They decided to bring in a cloud-based app called Photoruction. The whole idea was to take all the paperwork, all the photos, the blueprints, the to-do lists that were stuck in binders or on whiteboards, and put everything into one single digital place that anyone could access from anywhere. Okay, now this is where it gets wild. Look at this slide, the before and after. On the left, that's the old way, a tangled mess of taking photos, creating documents, transcribing data. It took 6,660 minutes. That's 110 hours. Now look at the right, the new way, upload, inspect, generate. The total time, just 20 minutes. Yep, you're seeing that right. Over 99%. By just streamlining their workflow with a single tool, they boosted their productivity by over 99%. It's an absolutely mind-blowing transformation. But here's the twist. The app wasn't the real magic bullet. The real breakthrough, the thing that changed everything, came from a completely different way of thinking about information itself. See, it wasn't really about the tool they were using. It was all about the philosophy behind how they used it. This diagram explains the core problem perfectly. With a small team of 4, you've only got 6 lines of communication between people. Simple enough. But add just 4 more people to make a team of 8, and it explodes to 28 different connections. Every new person you add just creates way more potential for chaos. So the old school solution was to stick a leader in the middle to manage all that chaos. But this creates a huge bottleneck. If the site supervisor is busy or out sick or just unavailable, the work grinds to a halt. Nothing moves until they give the okay. And this just brilliantly shows the conceptual leap that Hirayama made. They moved away from the model on the left, sending files back and forth, creating dozens of different versions, total confusion, and they moved to the model on the right, sharing information from a single source of truth. Suddenly, everyone has access to the same up-to-date info all the time. No more guessing. So, you have to be wondering, how did a small, 120-year-old company make such a modern conceptual jump? Well, it turns out this whole digital shift was only possible because it was built on top of principles that were already a century old. If you look at their history, you can see this isn't their first time adapting. They started as a lumber store. And check this out, back in 1978, decades before it was normal, they were already bringing in computers to build their own custom cost management systems. Innovation is just in their DNA. This quote comes from the founder's core principles. And it's not about refusing to change. It's about a deep, fundamental commitment. It means when you hit a crisis, you don't just give up and abandon the business. You persevere, you adapt, you find a way to make it work. And that kind of long-term thinking is exactly what lets them build for the long term. It's what allows them to successfully deliver these complex, modern projects. Their old values are the very things that enable their modern success. This whole philosophy is captured in their official motto, which is built on these 5 pillars: heart, beauty, trust, courtesy, and creativity. And believe me, this isn't just some poster they hang on the wall. This is the cultural operating system that guided their entire digital transformation. So, what did all this philosophy-driven change actually accomplish in the real world? Well, the results go way beyond just productivity numbers. For the employees themselves, the impact was absolutely life-changing. After this digital transformation, or DX, the average monthly overtime in their construction department dropped by more than 30%. This wasn't just about working faster. It was about working smarter and creating a healthier, more sustainable work-life balance for their people. And guess what? A better culture acts like a magnet for new talent. In an industry that is desperate for young workers, Hirayama is on track to nearly double its average hiring of new graduates. It turns out, people want to work for a company that respects their time and gives them the right tools to succeed. So here it is, the crucial point of this whole story. The wrong way to do it is to just buy a piece of software and hope it fixes all your problems. That might give you some temporary gains, but that's it. The right way, the Hirayama way, is to start with a philosophy, a clear set of values, and then use that philosophy to guide how you choose and use your technology. That is what leads to real, lasting transformation. Which brings us right back to that first question. Hirayama Construction proves that an old company absolutely can solve a modern crisis. And they didn't do it by throwing away their history. They did it by leaning into it. It really leads us with a final thought. Technology is always going to change, but core principles, those endure. So it's worth asking, what's the foundation your future is being built on?